It is the last episode. It is week 14, and this week I'm turning 30. Honestly, I'm not sure if the existential crisis has left me. It's still there, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm slowly embracing it or it's still just gonna hit me like a truck. So this series started because of my existential crisis, because turning 30 felt a bit heavy and a bit surprising. It feels like I'm being crashed by a big lorry, a big truck. If you know those isekai animes that just struck the main characters. And then suddenly they end up in a different world. That's how I feel right now. Genuinely, like some truck, like the truck kun will come and like just bash me into becoming 30. That's how I feel right now. And I think it's because of the number, but also because I think it feels like a big milestone. And I had turned it into like a big milestone or measuring stick. And it felt like a deadline. Forbes 30 under 30. If you have a house before 30 and all of this stuff. But not really, right? Let's say you have a house even after you're 30, like when you're 40, you still have a house. It's still a big success. It's still a big achievement. So I think 30 just felt like a deadline. It felt like an age where everything is supposed to make sense and it felt like everything should be impressive. And it feels like you should already have this life that you've always wanted. And one of the big reasons why I started this series as well was because I still cared about what people think. And the uncomfortable part was that realizing that even at 30, despite being almost 30, I still care about a lot of what people think. As in, like, comparing my life with other people, I measure my life through, milestones, achievements, external validation. Despite being close to 30. At the beginning, there wasn't really a clear goal or objective of this series. It wasn't really something that I did. It wasn't like a big strategy for me to become a huge influencer or content creator. Like, I genuinely started this because of my existential crisis. Like some content creator or influencer, they start a series because they have a certain goal to achieve, and in like, 30 days that I post every day until I become big, or 30 days that I post every day until I become a paid content creator or something like that. I genuinely did this because I was panicking about turning 30. So it was more like a response of that existential crisis or the fear of turning 30. It just felt like I had to do something because something needed to change about the way I felt, about the way I live my life. So I decided to do this series. And at first, I think the idea was to completely reinvent myself, which is why, like, if you see my banner or everywhere in my socials, is like reinvention, reinvention. And the word reinvention is, it seems like it's drastic. Like everyone talking about rebranding their life in 2026 and all of that stuff, like the 2026 rebrand. I think the idea of rebrand and reinvention is like drastic. It's like completely 180. You're completely changing yourself so it doesn't look like you anymore. And I think initially that was what I wanted from this as well, like the idea of change to look completely drastic, like I'm no longer myself. Because I think that's just how we're often taught to fix things. It's either you stay with your iPhone 11 for a number of years before you finally have enough money to change an iPhone 17. It's either you go to the gym 3 times a week or 5 times a week, or you don't do it at all. It's like all or nothing. So it's either you burn it down, rebuild, and become completely unrecognizable. Like when you don't like your house anymore, one option is to bulldoze the whole thing and start from scratch. But that would require new blueprints, new layout, new interior. It's exciting, but it's also exhausting in a way because you need to put a lot more effort and time and a lot more decisions. But I think we forgot there's often another way for you to change instead of the whole reinvention and rebrand. Instead of completely tearing down the house and rebuild everything from scratch, you can also look at the house as is and recognize what's solid, what has character, what's unique, and what needs just a little bit of attention. Maybe it's not going to be a full rebuild. Maybe it's just a repainting of the walls, maybe moving the furniture around, maybe change a bit of the interior to include some unique pieces from thrift stores, or maybe renovating one corner at a time. It's slower, but it's more realistic and more doable. And it doesn't require for you to have the entire vision figured out. And I think that's what I see after 14 weeks of doing this. This journey has changed me in a way that made me realize that change didn't have to come from trying to escape who I was or completely change who I was or wishing I was someone else, this it girl who goes to the gym 3 times a week, who completely has her shit together and who's always rational and not emotional and like a girl boss or whatever you want to call it. Change didn't have to come drastically by completely abandoning my old self and thinking my old self was not good enough. Instead, change can come from appreciation, from recognizing how far things have come, how far I've gotten, from caring and being grateful for what is already there, and from adjusting slowly instead of brute forcing transformation. And I think that made a lot of the difference, right? Like, one of the reasons why New Year's resolution don't really stick for the whole year is because you're expecting a big drastic change from yourself when that is not sustainable at all. So I think thinking of change from this way made all the difference. Instead of completely trying to change my mindset, I instead just start by asking better questions. Like, does this align with my values? If I do this, do I like the person that I'm becoming? If I do this while no one is watching, would I still do it? It comes from paying attention to where my energy was going. Instead of comparing my life to everyone, my attention should be focusing on my own life. And instead of focusing my attention on what could happen in the future that's uncertain, it should be focused on what I can do and what I can change now. It's from slowly trying to become the person that I like most and becoming the person that if I was 24/7 with, I'm comfortably okay with staying with the person 24/7. Change also comes from choosing the next best step instead of trying to figure out everything with certainty and precision and planning every single thing to make sure that the plan doesn't fail. It comes from trusting the process and continuing to show up even when nothing looks promising yet. And again, like, my ambitions doesn't disappear. I'm still an ambitious girl just because I have detached my worth from external validation and goals. But the way I approach these ambitions and goals are no longer the same. It has changed. A big part of the fear of why I was so afraid of turning 30 was because I felt like the 20s were the only time you were allowed to experiment, to fail, to pivot, to take risk, to do something crazy, and to pivot and to be completely okay with being unsure about where you want to go. But curiosity doesn't end when you're in your 20s, right? As if my curiosity is just gonna end by the time I turn 30. As if growth and change could only be done before you hit 30. But that is my own self-limiting belief and I have to change it. Taking risks doesn't belong to only one decade. And just because I've turned 30 doesn't mean I completely trust myself yet. I'm still learning and I still have time to learn that. So, turning 30 isn't the end of everything. It's the beginning of doing something without tying my worth to outcomes. It's choosing a direction and sticking with it without needing full clarity. And it's building a life that feels honest to me, not just impressive. This series didn't really give me any answers for all of my questions and all of my doubts, but it did open my eyes to move slower, to be intentional in my attention, and pushed me to take the next step without needing to have a whole plan figured out. And maybe that's enough because becoming a person that I like doesn't end at 30. I'm still going to start evolving as a person after 30. I just want to close this with this isn't the end, it's just the beginning.